Hi, I'm Father Mark from the parish of Porthcawl, and I've got the privilege of telling you the Easter story, but with a twist. You can often tell how a person feels by the look on their face. And the man who we're going to look at today has had every reason to look like this. He was in a prison cell, a cell that would have been damp and cold and smelly and dingy, and there probably would have been rats running around in the darkness. Heavy. But worse than all of that, he was under the sentence of death because he was a really bad person, a renowned criminal. His name was Barabbas, and he was going to be crucified as punishment for his crimes. The Bible describes him as a robber, a rebel leader, and a murderer, a man of violence. Imagine that it's early in the day. There comes the sound of heavy footsteps coming along the corridor, getting louder and louder and louder as they come closer and closer and closer. There's a rattle of keys in the door, his door. They've come to take him and to put him to death. The cell door opens and he hears the gruff voice of the prison guard. "Get up, Barabbas. You're free to go." What do you think his face looked like then? He can hardly believe it, but he gets up off the cold floor and he runs out past the guard, down the corridor and out into the bright sunshine. He walks past another prisoner who's being dragged in, bound up in chains. He is tired, he's been up all night, he's having been taken to one set of judges after another, from the religious leaders to the king to the Romans and then to Pilate, who is in charge of discipline in Jerusalem. He'd been beaten, tortured really, his clothes were torn and he was bleeding badly. Their eyes met as they walked past each other, and Barabbas saw something in those eyes that made him stop. Just for a moment, before the guard pushed him on again. What was it about this man that made him feel sorry for everything that he'd done wrong? What was it about this man that made him feel loved? Barabbas had expected to be killed that day, and now he was free. Imagine his joy. Perhaps this was his next expression. Why? Why had he been set free? What had made them change their minds? I mean, he was guilty. He deserved to die. Maybe he heard the full story later. Maybe he heard about how Pilate had tried to release a man called Jesus, the man who had gazed into his eyes as he'd walked past. Maybe he heard about the crowd calling for him, Barabbas, to be released instead of the innocent man, Jesus. Maybe he had heard about Jesus being taken by the Roman soldiers, made fun of, made to carry his cross of wood up to Golgotha, where he died in his place, where he should have been put to death for his crimes. Imagine the look on his face. Thank you, Jesus.